Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. We are back today. More carbon in the house. Hoka Rocket X2. Gonna do a revisit of this one. I've been revisiting a lot of the race shoes, and guess what? The reason I'm revisiting a lot of the race shoes is because I want to help you pick your next race shoe. And if you're still looking for your next race shoe, you gotta go to the Supwell app. I do have the Supwell crew neck on today. Supwell app is my app. It's the best buy, sell, and trade marketplace for hobby joggers. It's actually where I managed to snag this pair. I tried to buy it from my friend Philip, but he wouldn't let me do that. He just sent it to me for free because he didn't want to make me pay because it was my app. Sometimes people do that, but he listed it for $70. So someone else could have got that deal for $70. I think it was $70. It was something under $100. And we have a lot of good race shoe deals on the Supwell app for under $100, under $150. So if you're looking for a new Carbon County shoe or a Max Cushion Gang shoe or a Daily Trainer, and you want to be part of the best community for hobby joggers out there, make sure you're part of the Supwell app. All right, enjoy today's video. Woo! He said, I tried to lead the mob. I got cold feet. Bentley truck super tall, like the nosebleeds. That's Lucky, a.k.a. Lucky X, a.k.a. most underrated trap artist out right now. Supwell music coming soon. I seriously might launch the music review channel. I think this is this the year or is next year the year? I think next year might be the year. But I think I'm going to put out the year-end best albums list, 2025. But today we're not talking music. Well, I guess we are talking music. We just did talk music in the intro, but we're also talking Hoka. We're talking Hoka, my favorite Hokas, and we are revisiting my favorite Hokas. This is the Rocket X2 right here. This is what I'm going to run in this morning, but I wanted to do, this was actually a request from my friend Maya, loved the run. She said, why don't you go revisit some favorite Hokas. I think maybe she said that because last week I was just slamming shoes that were not good. So sometimes it's good to get a palate cleanser, go back into shoes that are good. And yesterday I ran in I would say pleasantly mediocre shoe, the Nike Vaporfly 4. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't terrible. I think that's the trend of a lot of these Nike shoes recently. They've been good at what they're designed to do, but they're not world-changing shoes. Now, Hoka Rocket X2 is a very similar shoe to that. Lower stack in the back compared to what we're expecting out of marathon racing shoes and compared to the other marathon racing shoes or the other race shoe in Hoka's stable. Nice, direct ride. Lightweight. This actually isn't the lightest weight shoe because it has a firmer foam, but that is the key difference between the Rocket X2 and the Vaporfly. This thing uses a firmer, denser foam that's more supportive, really nice rocker up here at the front, and I've enjoyed this for a lot of miles. The thing is, it came out when did this thing come out? 2022? 2023? So long ago, so it doesn't make any of those best of lists. I don't put it on my best power rankings list. It didn't make any of the year-end 2024 lists because it didn't even come out in 2024. Hoka was pushing the Cielo OG last year, and this year they're pushing the Cielo 2.0. But I want to give this a swan song today, going back in the archives, running it, and then I'll run in one of my favorite other training shoes. But what makes this shoe special so far, to my memory, out of all the runs, is it is really easy to run fast in it. It reminds me a lot of what I loved about the Saucony Endorphin Elite, in that there's nothing mind-blowingly special about the ride of the foam when I'm jogging, but as I pick up the pace and dig in, the rocker, combined with this firmer foam, combined with the amount of stack in the plate position, is just right for driving through the midfoot, popping off the forefoot, and hitting some sub 6 minute splits. And when I'm doing a workout where I'm hitting race pace, that's exactly what I want. There's nothing special about it. It's a no frills, streamlined shoe, but in a race package, that's the brief. We want no frills and we want speed. So Hoka's done a nice job. Let me go grab some of the other shoes. Hold on. As I was saying, Hoka's done a nice job from top to bottom of their lineup with these shoes, and especially in the speed shoes, except I was not the biggest fan of the latest race shoe release, the Cielo X1 2.0. This thing just did not do it for me, and I know some people have liked it. Where this one went astray is you have so much foam in the midfoot here, and with my style of running, I put a lot of power through the middle of the shoe. It just turned to mush when I was running fast, which I have not gotten in the Rocket X2. And that's another reason why I love this shoe, the Hoka Rocket X2. Another really nice job in the Hoka line. Does that make sense? Another really nice job. A nice job from Hoka, a nice shoe. It has that firmer foam feel from the bottom layer of EVA with the bounce on the top from the top layer of PIBA. Really nice rocker, and that's something I think Hoka doesn't get enough credit for across their lineup. Not so much the Clifton, but maybe the Clifton too, but a lot of their shoes, Bandai, Skyflow, Rocket X2, the Cielo, the Mach X2, the Skyward X, they all have these beautiful rockers, and Hoka has so many good shoes that it's hard for me to even pick my top 4 or top 5. I was supposed to do a rotation for Instagram because Grant has this series of best shoe rotations by brand. I think we just need to get out Adidas, go follow the Supple Running Instagram. We're also have a new review series where we're polling hobby joggers on their opinions of shoes. So yesterday we did the Adios Pro 4. We got lots of great insights from my friend Serge and Albright and Pedro. There were a few other people there. Chris. So that's a really fun series. Make sure you're following the Supple Running Instagram. But on the Hoka rotation, I couldn't even pick just 4 shoes. I had to put together 2 different rotations. I did one for half marathon training, which was slightly lower stack, more streamlined, and then one for marathon training because their shoes are just so good. Hoka is top of the game for me when it comes to the midsoles and the rockers. They don't have the most advanced foams. This yellow foam on the bottom here, this is literally a 2007 foam. This is standard EVA. And then this top foam, this is PIBA. This has been around for the last 8 or so years. So nothing they're doing is mind-boggling or earth-shattering or game-changing. They've just delivered really solid packages. They've tuned their rockers just right. They know how to put these foams together in a way that delivers smooth, pleasant, fun rides. That's what Hoka is about to me. Smooth, pleasant, and fun. When they crank that up to the max, though, it can go astray. Like in this shoe, the Cielo X1 2.0, at least for me, the stability wasn't that great. They tried to do too much by stuffing all this foam into the front. But in the Rocket X2, which is 2 years older than the 2.0, to my memory at least, and we'll see this morning, if I'm right, this was just right with the amount of foam and the speed. So this morning, we're going to get out there, get some miles in this, do a Rocket X2 revisit, and then later we'll get some nice, comfy miles for our afternoon run. Capiche? I actually need to get my clothes on. I need to go change. I have clothes on, just not the ones I'm running in. It's pretty cold this morning, but I'm going shorts anyway. We're going John G 5-inchers. What are these socks? I just grabbed random socks. I think these are the Balegas. Yeah, these are super comfortable. Balega hidden comfort, and then bang. I'm going OG mileage shirt. I might actually grab my a quarter zip to go over this because it's pretty cold. It's 40s right now, which is just wild. Yeah, bang. See if I can Kobe this. Yellow like the Lakers. Balling on a hater. Racking up paper. And my trackie. Yes, the Tracksmith quarter zip. And then I'll grab the OG black hobby jogger hat. Let them know. All right, I'll put this on, then we can just get out of here. Hold on, man. I'm getting dressed here. Let me tell you something. So I had the flu or some sort of illness where I was puking my guts out for 6 hours straight, couldn't keep anything down, and then I slept for a full day afterwards. I was able to bounce back. But a very nice hobby jogger, I'm going to take my pants off here, off camera. A very nice hobby jogger said, don't feel like you need to make videos for the trolls when you're recovering or when you're sick. Because I made this comment about how people were saying, oh, you came out with a pre-recorded video. Just being entitled because I was on my deathbed. But here's the thing. I don't make videos for the trolls. I don't make videos for anybody else really other than myself. That's not true. I make videos for you guys, but the daily commitments, bro, I've been grinding daily before you ever heard me say bada boom, bada bang. When I first started on this health and fitness journey, I wrote down everything I ate in a food journal every day. This is extremely, I don't know the word you would use to describe it, obsessive maybe. I wrote down, or maybe some other sort of diagnostic word. I wrote down everything I ate for 3 years. I did the same ab workout every day for 2 or 3 years. I grind daily for myself. It's not for anybody else. And this stuff really works. This stuff really works because now we're up. I was talking to Charlie the other day about how, I know it's silly, but I always wanted to make 30 under 30 when I was younger. And I'm going to turn 30 in September. That's clearly not happening now. Nobody from Forbes contacted me. But guess what? We got 31,000 subs. Made my own 30 under 30. That's off the daily grind. Don't do it for anybody else. You got to do it for yourself. That's the message for today. It really is super cold out here. It feels like the winter again. This weekend it was in the high 80s, and now it's low 40s. I'm dang near shivering out here. Lacing up the Rocket X2 here. True to size, good fit. This feels like a super suit. This upper, it really feels like something a superhero would wear. And this foam is nice, man. There is some slight squish to it. It's in that not too soft, not too firm category, and that's what I love in a race shoe. These are short laces, though. Never met a lace I couldn't supwell certify. No flop knot tie, though. Bang. People always ask me how I tie my shoes. There's a tutorial. You just gotta search it. I should probably link it in the description. Make it easier. But yeah, it's quite chilly out here. So I'm gonna warm up for a few miles, and then my plan is to do 2 by 3 miles. Just feel out the pace. We'll see how I feel. I'm feeling pretty much 100% recovered, maybe 95% recovered today, but we'll see how I feel. It is cold out here. Gosh dang. All right, let's do it. Man, it is like unpleasantly cold out here. Oh gosh, yeah. Man, nothing unpleasant about the Rocket X2. Whew! This wind is cutting through me though. Yeah, rocker on these is great. Balance is perfect. This just feels tuned for running fast. This might be the best out of the crop of simpler race shoes. Better than the Hyperion, the 4PB, better than the new Vaporfly. This is a banger. You guys ever heard the Eric Thomas, "How bad do you want it" speech? So I got these used on the Supple app. Did I mention that on the intro? I don't know, because I didn't film the intro yet. I always film the intro last. But I think they had 70 miles on them, so they're not new. And then I put 30 more miles on them, so maybe 100 miles. And the bounce is still incredible. Which you cannot say about a Vaporfly at 100 miles. Mile 1, 7:02 pace. This shoe is so good, man. It's just slept on because it was released so long ago. Basically exactly what the new Vaporfly is trying to be, but executed better. One thing is, it feels like my sock is twisted up. It's weird. See, this is why I only run in one type of sock for the most part, because it just works and I don't have issues. Yeah, these are thinner, so it was all bunched up underneath. All right, starting this first set. You call it the flu, I call it an opportunity for my legs to get fresh. First set down, went 5:43, 5:36, 5:40. I'm gonna recover for 3 minutes and then bang it again. I felt like I could have gone straight through, but I'm not gonna be a hero. Hey. Type of people to say pit bulls aren't aggressive dogs. Meanwhile, they're holding their dog back with their entire force of being, so it doesn't chomp down my juicy calf muscle. And you know what she was rocking. She was rocking last gen Ons. But to make a PETA donation. And nothing like the smell of a freshly lit dart on your 3-minute recovery jog. It's exactly what I need to hit this second rep. All right, time to go. All right, went 5:43, 5:52 up the huge 80-foot hill, and then 5:40 downhill assist. So solid. Hit both of those 3-mile repeats at around 2:30 marathon pace. So somewhere in between current marathon pace and half marathon pace. Aerobically, I'm feeling fine. But the last few weeks, my legs just have not had the power. But this is a down week, and what always happens when I take a down week is the following week I'm flying. So I anticipate next week we'll be rolling. Mark my words. I'm gonna go inside, check some messages, and then hit this cool down. Rocket X2, still an absolute monster. This thing is a banger. The UPS guy just gave me the finger guns, beeped, and then a double finger guns. Like, yeah, you're my guy. Maybe he's happy that I'm supporting his business. Boom. Another solid workout in the books, nothing fancy. 10 miles, average 6:25 pace. I always say it, but average pace does not matter on these types of workouts. All that matters is the pace of the actual working portion. 1 hour, 4 minutes, 58 seconds. Yeah, you should run your cool downs and your warm-ups as slow or as fast as you need to. People always ask that. It does not matter. I always run my first mile, almost run my first mile slower than the second, regardless of if it's a recovery run or a workout, and then I ease into it, do some strides, and then cool down. I usually do my cool downs pretty slow for relative to my paces, usually 7:30 to 8 flat even, or sometimes I'll bang an 8:50 mile. But man, Rocket X2, this thing is an absolute monster, and it's just been hiding in plain sight. And once in a while, someone will ask me to revisit this and say, why isn't this on your list? And that is a really good question. I think I just sleep on this because it released so long ago. But this has everything that I like in a racing shoe. The direct feel in the front, the pop off the plate, and it responds really well to that driving power style of running. When I'm putting a lot of force through it, it doesn't feel like I'm bottoming out. It just keeps giving me back everything that I'm putting in. This might be the best PIBA traditional race shoe on the market. It really might be. It might be better than the Endorphin Elite OG. It's crazy. Let's just hope they don't mess up the Rocket X3. Lucky said I had tried to leave the mob, but I got cold feet. He was actually talking about what happened the one time he was considering leaving the Max Cushion gang. He literally got cold feet because he was in barefoot shoes. That's what happens. We still have the little red spiders out here. Alright, Hoka Rocket X2. Full disclosure, I ran in this about 3 hours ago at this point because I had to deal with a whole bunch of shenanigans, so I'm out here a few hours later. But let's throw up the run. This thing is a complete banger. I'm 3 days off of the bubonic plague now, recovered, wanted to spin the legs, so went 2 by 3 miles, just about marathon pace, goal marathon pace. I think I averaged exactly what my goal marathon pace is. Didn't feel great, didn't feel terrible, which is probably what a 2 by 3 miles should feel like a few days after puking my guts up. But we're back. Aerobic system feels strong. Legs are getting that pop back. And like I said earlier, because I know people want to say take a rest, take it easy. Well, first thing, I did take a rest. I slept for basically an entire day. But the mentality and the mindset is if we can get after it, we're going to get after it. And so I felt like I wanted to get after it today, so we got after it. So Rocket X2 here. This thing is a streamlined, smooth, bouncy weapon. This is a top 5 race shoe. I seriously think this is better than the Vaporfly 4, which I tested yesterday. much better than the Vaporfly 3. It has that direct feel up in the front, but it is so bouncy. That is the part that I didn't quite remember about this shoe when I was giving that overview. I did not remember how, and this is a word that I don't use a lot, but how responsive this shoe feels. So when I evaluate shoes, I typically try to think, is it firm or is it soft? Is it bouncy and rockered and fast, or is it something where you have to put a lot of mustard into it to get it going? You have these super speed assisted shoes on one side, and then you have these more workhorse style shoes on the other. Nike Vaporfly 4, that is a workhorse style shoe. You got to put some mustard into it. It's very lightweight, so it's not hard to run fast in it, but it's also not going to give you that plus 10, plus 15 second per mile feeling where you're looking down at your watch and your splits are ripping off at a 6 flat when you're normally at a 620 at those efforts. That's not what the Vaporfly 4 quite does. It's a shoe where it feels so light, or the Vaporfly 3. Matter of fact, I need to get more miles in the Vaporfly 4, but those types of shoes where they're lightweight, but they don't have the most modern technology, they don't have the bounciest foams, those are the workhorse style of speed training shoes. This is all the way on the other end of the spectrum, man. This PIBA foam is special. I can feel just pushing it in here. So it has this softer top layer, carbon fiber plate in the middle, and then a firmer bottom layer. It is a dual foam construction, and this foam is just so nice. And when I say responsive, I mean it responds when I put some mustard into it. So I don't have to put a lot into it to get it going, but when I do, man, and this is an issue I have with a lot of shoes, when I put power down through the midfoot, they just sink down, they just compress, they don't give me anything else, or they feel super flat. That was something I was getting with the Hyperion Elite 4 PB and the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris last week. I ran those back to back. Hyperion Elite 4 PB, that just turned to complete mush in the midfoot. It was giving me no response. So it was bouncy at my slower paces and the foam was bouncing me along, but as soon as I tried to dip down 610s and below, it just mushed down and it was not responding to the additional power. Edge Paris, very similar thing, where as I was dipping below 6 flat, that one has some faster natural character to it than the Hyperion Elite 4 PB and a better rocker, but as I was dipping down below 6 flat, just mush and fighting against the foam. There's no fighting against the foam. It has so much snap and response. 2 words you hear a lot when people review running shoes: snappy, responsive. These has them, and it's not a cliche. It feels so fast off the forefoot, very similar to Sky Paris in the toe off here. It is so smooth and fast off here, except it's not as aggressive and it's not gonna tear up your calves as much, and the stability is actually really good. That's an issue with the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, how narrow it is. Same thing with the Edge Paris, and also with the Vaporfly 4 that I ran yesterday. The platform feels so small. I like this because it is lower stack. I didn't put it through the stack reader today. I think I did a few weeks ago, and it came down at it was mid-30s. So it's not a super tall max stack race shoe like you'd get out of the Cielo, or like you'd get even out of the Alpha Fly. That's going to be around 40 millimeters. I think the Alpha Fly was 41 millimeters in my size. So this is more streamlined, but it has a decently wide base, and the foam packs a punch. So that's the thing about this shoe, and we've actually seen leaks of the Rocket X3 coming out now, and Hoka is apparently going to be positioning the X3 as the stable racer, the stable, and I guess the Cielo is going to be the innovation and the wild one, and the Rocket is going to be the stable and the traditional. So they do have the carbon fiber plate peeking out in the front for the additional stability, and they have the wider base. This has a really nice wider base, and it's not super tall, but you get the width. Stability is awesome, feels lower to the ground, lots of control, and I feel like I can just throw all of my power into this and it responds. There are very few shoes that do this for me, and there's very few shoes that work as well as this does with the heel strike, a midfoot strike, or a forefoot strike. Regardless if I was landing, whether I was mashing down the heel and generating force with a longer stride, or if I were picking up the pace, trying to have a lighter on my foot, higher cadence style of run. And here's the thing, for a marathon, or we're trying to develop mechanics at marathon pace, sometimes it is good to slightly switch up the mechanics. And actually for ultra marathon training, it is advised. I'm not training for an ultra, but a lot of ultra professional runners advise modifying the mechanics slightly so that you're fatiguing different muscles. I find if I'm driving, doing my typical style of running, and I feel like I'm just hitting a power wall and can't break through, sometimes I'll switch up the mechanics. Also, on a course like this out here, it's necessary to use different mechanics because I'm going up and down and turning so much. So when I'm going on the flat, I'm more up on the midfoot and the forefoot. When I'm going up the hill, definitely up on the forefoot, and then down hills, I am mashing the heel. So I get a good mix of all the different types of running, styles of running out on this course. And it's not the most enjoyable when I'm trying to set speed records or rip off harder paces, but it does build strength and it helps me be a more well-rounded runner. Point being, this responds really well to all of those different styles, types. It responds well to running in certain different ways. You can mash the heel, you can land on the forefoot, you can pop off the front, you can drive through the midfoot. It does everything. This is really a special foam, and you can see in the back here, you do get a decent chunk of foam underneath the plate, and that's where a lot of the stability is going to be coming from. And if you look at this, you can't mush down the heel all that much. If I do this with the Adidas Adios, or if I do this with the Saucony Endorphin Elite, the entire thing just collapses. So while this does have some softness to it at the faster paces, that is not the main characteristic. It does not feel like an inherently soft shoe. It feels very much in that Goldilocks zone. Softer than something like the Saucony Endorphin Elite, more comfortable than something like the Saucony Endorphin Elite. That could sometimes be harsh, but the bounce is amazing. This is tuned just perfectly for running right. Other thing is, upper is pretty good. I feel like I'm a superhero anytime I lace this thing up. It feels like a super suit. I don't care all that much about upper. Somebody said, how could you're too harsh on the Hyperion Elite 4 PB because you said it had the best race day upper. An upper is not really gonna add all that much to a shoe. If the midsole is trash, a good upper can't save it. Conversely though, if a midsole is fire, a bad upper can't wreck the shoe either. The Neo Zen has a pretty weak upper, and I still put that as the top 3 daily trainer of the year. So I'm not a big upper guy. I'm more of a midsole guy. You can tell a lot by a shoe tuber by whether they're an upper guy or a midsole guy. The thing is, the upper doesn't run the shoe. The midsole runs the shoe. You could slap 2 grocery bags on top of some supercritical PIBA with a carbon fiber plate, and if that supercritical PIBA is bouncing me along, I'm gonna say it's a banger. I give a gosh dang what type of material is an upper made out of. Boys complaining that these uppers are eating up their ankles. Just wear some thicker gosh dang socks. Regardless, good upper, fits true to size. The nice thing about the upper though is it does feel very secure. It just adds to that rocket-like sensation. This is the perfect name for the shoe because I feel so strapped into it, ready to go. And that's what made me so confused about the new Cielo. This thing is that rocket-like shoe that's designed for speed, designed to go fast. It's actually not the lightest weight. I didn't weigh it in today, but I think it came in around 230 or 240 grams because this foam does have a density to it, a denser, heavier feel, which is not bad because when I'm putting power down, it responds very similar to the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3, which is my favorite shoe right now, and I'll put that up in this category. This is a top 5 shoe for sure. This might be on the new power rankings that comes out this month. I think I've just been sleeping on it. Probably have to kick off the Diodora Gata, but we already have the Cloud Boom Strike as the soft, comfortable one on the list. Yeah, when the Cielo came out, I was just confused, and I still am, about what exactly they are trying to do with that product, because they're trying to make it the fast, top-tier, elite racing option, yet they're stuffing all this foam in the midfoot to make it more comfortable, and it's mushier. They're just overcomplicating it. And the initial Cielo was so great because of the stability and the comfort. They've now added comfort into the midfoot of the 2.0, but they've removed the stability, and this thing is fast but stable. If you're gonna make an aggressive shoe, just make it aggressive. Don't worry about making it too comfortable. If you're gonna make it a stable shoe, also make it comfortable. What they're now doing, allegedly, with the X3 is making that stable and aggressive, and then the Cielo is gonna be the mushy and aggressive one. I don't know. The verdict is still out on the X3. It hasn't even dropped yet. I'm skeptical of the changes because I did not like the 2.0. But what I can tell you, this one is an absolute banger. If Nike had delivered this in the Vaporfly 4, I would have been singing the praises of that as well yesterday. Instead, I was saying it's just fine. I did give it a thumbs up. It's a solid B+ for what it is, but this package just comes together better. They really nailed it in this version right here. I think the only downside is it's been out for 2 years and you can't really find it discounted anywhere. At this deep into the development cycle or life cycle of a product, you should start to see some discounts pop up here and there. So I wish we could find it on, and if I'm missing some that are out there, let me know. But I haven't seen this pop up anywhere for 180, 200, or 220 other than the Supwell app. Of course, the Supwell app. You could get a pair of these on the Supwell app. But yeah, on any of the retailers, for example, Running Warehouse, they're still releasing new colorways of this. And it's $250, $260. I think MSRP is $250. That's the only real downside, but the upside is the performance is just as good as any other top 5 race shoe out there. I would take this over the Cloudboom Strike for a 10K or a half marathon. I think even for a full marathon, I would take this over the Cloudboom Strike. I would put this up against the Sky Paris for one of those shoes races as well. More comfortable, slightly less aggressive, but it's not going to tear up my calves. And because of the additional width out here, it's a lot easier for me to run in. And here's the thing that I always say, you're not going to feel 20 to 30 additional grams of weight out there on a long run or on a marathon race. That's not going to be what stops you running in a 200-gram shoe versus a 230-gram shoe, or a 210-gram shoe versus a 240-gram shoe. That's not going to stop you from hitting your PR. What's going to stop you from hitting your PR is not fueling properly, not putting in weeks of long runs, not getting enough miles in at race pace, going out too hot. Any of those things are going to stop you. 30 grams, 20 grams of additional weight on your feet, it's not going to stop you. So I always advocate for going something that's comfortable for you, that you can run fast in confidently. And man, I'm so confident ripping down paces in this. It is so protective. Again, it's not max stack, but it's so protective because of the density of the foam, and it just responds so well to my pace pickup. I am extremely confident mashing down on this like the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3. That's the best version of what this is, but this is a really close second. And of course the Alpha Fly is just special, so that's in a category of its own. But most definitely a top 5 race shoe. Let me bang out those 3 questions. As I said, 3 questions really quickly that I answer in the first round reviews, because it's been so long since I did this, so we can answer them in the revisit as well. First, how does this compare to its intended purpose? So this was designed to be Hoka's top tier shoe when it released, top tier race shoe when it released. This was really their first legit formula super shoe type of, I don't like saying super shoe that much. I've been saying it too much because we reviewed the Vaporfly. This was their first real race foam carbon fiber plate shoe to hit the market, and it smashes it for that. And if we even fast forward 2 years to now, it still competes. So with the intended purpose, check. This is faster to me than the Cielo X1. It does a way better job, the 2.0 and the OG does a way better job at speed. I feel that the rocker on this is better. I'm not fighting against the foam, so bang, check on the intended purpose. How does this compare to the other shoes in the category? Now, the one demerit of this, or one area where it might fall down for some people, is especially if you're not generating a lot of power in your stride, it might not feel the best, and it might not feel the most cushioned. This is one of those ironic shoes where the faster I run, the more protective and cushioned it feels. At slower paces, it can feel not necessarily harsh, but just like a firmer tuned foam. So if you're not generating a lot of power, higher cadence runner or smaller runner, you want something more comfortable, even the Vaporfly is going to feel softer and better for you. I had someone in the comments on the Vaporfly video today that I posted say they're 5'7", 135, and love that shoe. I'm 6'2", 160, and today I was throwing down 530s and 540s, and doing that in a soft platform just does not feel good to me. But if you like those softer foams, this is not going to be the one for you. This is right in that middle zone, which is great. So compared to the other shoes in the category, it's closer to the firmer end. Definitely not a firm shoe, but you either have to have some size or generate some power to get the biggest benefit out of it. And it's also just not the most cushion. Again, we didn't throw in the stack rater today, but to my memory, it is mid-30s. People always ask me why I stop. You can tell those boys weren't watching their Nardwuar when they're growing up. You gotta go watch your Nardwuar. Learn something about freezing. How does this compare to all of the other shoes on the market? Very similar to how it compares to the other shoes in the category. It's not a super soft, tall cushion shoe. Now, my friend Matt Beyer was talking on the Supwell app today about how he's not max cushion gang. He prefers shoes like the Takumi Sen 8. He prefers shoes like the Vaporfly. This is, dare I say, the closest thing to the spirit of the Takumi Sen 8 since that thing came out. This is a complete banger, and I think a lot of people will use it similar to how they used the Takumi Sen 8, which I should revisit soon. One of the most legendary speed training shoes ever. And yes, it's not designed to be a speed training shoe, but that's how the hobby jogger community used it. But the foam in here is explosively bouncy, amazing rocker, feels so good once you just get it rolling, get that momentum building up. So compared to everything else on the market, it's definitely not a comfort-oriented shoe. It's not like the Tracksmith Elliott Racer or even the Alpha Fly, where you could take it out for a nice long run and have some fun. This is most definitely not the shoe I'm going to take out if I have a 23-miler on the schedule and I don't have any prescribed pace. For a run like that, I could see myself taking out the Alpha Fly, or I would go with something like the Cloud Boom Strike. A lot of people like the New Balance SC Elite V4 in the race shoe category for that, or I would just go for a training shoe. Mach X2 would be a great pick for that. The Cielo OG or even the 2.0 could be a good pick for that. This is not going to be the pick unless you're really cranking it. So compared to everything else on the market, you got to crank, you got to have some gas in the tank to get those miles banked in the Rocket X2. But complete banger for running fast. I can't wait to see this start dropping in price because I'm going to just keep pumping it up, highlighting it once you can get it under $200. But it is still worth $250 to me, and it's worth the MSRP because the performance is just so good. I think it's just a hard sell for consumers to pay full price for something that's been on the market for 2 years when we see so many new shoes releasing. But last thing I'll say, this is just a testament to sometimes the old formula can work well, but it has to be executed right. And the Vaporfly 4, they executed that well for what it was trying to do. But as I said in the video yesterday, it's not my preference as a bigger, more powerful style runner at my faster paces. I don't bottom out a lot of these shoes almost. It feels like I'm just completely on top of the plate with the softer foams. So it's not the formula that works for me. And even forget size or anything, just looking at what this is, the rocker, the tuning of the foam, the plate position, the stability of the heel. It's a package that's put together in a way that's accessible, approachable, that's gonna be amenable to a lot of different styles of runners for speed. It's gonna be more stable than a lot of the race shoes out there, and this foam is just incredible with the bounce, and it's holding up pretty well at around 100 miles. So complete banger. Traditional can work, it just has to be executed in the right way. We don't need to have crazy innovation all the time, but if you're gonna go classic, you better come with the heat, and this is a great example of it. So Rocket X2, big thumbs up. That's all I have out here. I did say I was gonna revisit one other shoe in this video, so I guess I'll do that for the sickos. For everyone else, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Revisit number 2 for the sickos. This is strictly for the sickos. This is for the sickos. This is for the sickos. And my stack flows for the sickos. Stack flows for the sickos. That's the type of singing you get from me. People thought the lullaby was me. That's not what it's gonna sound like when I'm singing. I don't have that much time, but if I say I'm gonna give you a double day, bada boom, bada bang, you're getting a double day, double revisit. Also, I apologize for the audio issues. As I was rejiggering the cord earlier, it got knocked halfway out, and then it was out for the rest of the video. But it's all good now.
I think we're fully inserted. Yes, the cord is fully inserted. We have the Hoka Skyflow here. This is Hoka's daily trainer. It's their standard daily trainer, $150. They updated, or not updated, this is brand new, the Skyflow. I call it the Stackflow. Supercritical EVA foam, firmer than the Bandai, good bounce to it, really nice rocker. I loved this when I tried it last year. It made a few of my lists. I don't think it made any of my year-end lists, and I haven't been putting it on the daily trainer power rankings because it's not extremely special. It's not great at any one thing, but this is the type of shoe that I like for logging daily miles, and it might not blow you away, but it's just a solid workhorse. So we're going to do a revisit, and then I'll compare it, just a little afternoon run here, 30 minutes, 4 miles, and I can compare it to Vomero and all the other recent releases. All right, let's do this thing.
Man, that was moderately unenjoyable. I think my refuel hit at the exact wrong time. 4 miles, 7:52 pace recovery run. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I did.
Mommy, these are for you, Daddy.
Yeah, those packages are for me.
Who's making yucky, Daddy?
I don't have time right now. I'll tell you about these later.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye. What the heck? Dude, what the heck? All right, it's time to finish it out. I have some good thoughts. Great thoughts on the Hoka Skyflow. But I was listening to the new Yachty V's song, and Yachty said I'm not going back and forth with the sucker who's filling out a FAFSA. That, you know what the FAFSA is? It's the financial aid form. That made me feel really broke. I'm actually doing my taxes right now. I'm trying to maximize my deductions, so that hurt. But let's close it out here. Bang. Hoka Skyflow. And do this one podcast style. What does podcast style mean? Podcast style means we're going to put the shoes on the gosh dang table and we're just going to talk about them. And I'm actually holding the mic like it's a podcast. Let's flip it around so you can get the visual. Can you see me? Hold on. I actually wanted to show something. The barber gave me the Pat Mahomes. Look at this. I've been wanting to show this. This is disrespectful. It's literally the Pat Mahomes, you see? It's like the mullet thing. So I usually get a fade, and it's always high and tight all around. This time he just gave me the low fade, and the back is like a mullet situation. So I don't know if it's how I look. He thought I wanted the Pat Mahomes. I do not. I do not want the Pat Mahomes, but I have it anyway. And then with this new trucker on and the hair peeking out the back, it's even more of that Pat Mahomes that I don't want. But we have it. But haircut is like mileage. You just got to keep stacking them. Good haircut, bad haircut. You keep going. All right, so updated thoughts on the Hoka Skyflow. Today, this felt firm, harsh, miserable, and brickish. This was not an enjoyable run. However, I had so many good runs in this last year, so many good miles in it last year. I know it's not a firm brick, but there were 3 things that this made me think of. First, the difference in different training cycles and where we are, the mechanics that we're running with, the confidence, the strength, how fatigued we are, and how we respond to different shoes. So I do not like firm shoes for my doubles. The times, meaning my second run of the day. You've heard about the Run Club shoes. Grant introduced you to Run Club shoes. This is not a Run Club shoe because this has good performance. The Run Club shoes are the shoes that look good but don't put in the work. The double shoes are the ones that are comfortable. That's what I want for a double. This is a morning run shoe. A morning run shoe is a shoe that feels great when I'm fresh, but terrible on tired legs. Also known as a workhorse, but there's some workhorses like the Vomero 18 that are comfortable. And man, for me, at my size, 6'2", 160, this is not comfortable for my relaxed paces. It feels so firm. I just cannot put enough mustard into it at an 8 flat pace or a 7:45 pace to get it going, which brings me to point number 2. Not only do I like different shoes at different times of training, but speed and recovery, fast shoes and slow shoes, I have different preferences as well. And a lot of times, my guy ML Hunt, he thinks I hate firm shoes. And a lot of people, because I say max cushion gang this, max cushion gang that, I think people think I only like super soft cushion shoes, which is not true. Look at the Rocket X2 today, which I was just ripping off, and look at the Hyperion 2 as well. That's another shoe that's lower stack, but for speed that I love. So my preferences for speed at my size with my running style is actually something like the Skyflow. This is a great shoe for me when I'm running more of that tempo effort, when I'm picking up the pace down to 6:30, 45 seconds to a minute into marathon pace. Anything slower than a 7:15, 7:20, my slower daily end of the zone or recovery, I do not like firm. I want something that is more comfortable. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, something like the Bandai 9, which is not firm, but is a more structured feel. If it has a really nice, gentle rocker, smooth ride, I can get along with it. But this thing right here, it feels so firm when I'm not putting down power. And the reason that this dichotomy exists and the split between liking firm shoes for faster running, softer shoes for slower running, look at that, F and F, firm, fast, soft, slow. The reason it exists is because the more force I put down into a shoe, the more support I want. For a softer shoe, when I'm running slow, I'm not compressing the midsole as much. And you can just see here, look at this. Pushing in with my thumb, I am not able to compress it all that much. Let me go grab another shoe. All right, this is the Clifton, Hoka's more comfort-oriented daily trainer versus the versatile Skyflow. You can see, can you see? More squish in the Clifton. I don't know if you could quite see that, but more squish to the push test and more squish out there on the run. The Clifton, weirdly, and this is going to be surprising to some people, this is my preference for relaxed miles over the Skyflow. At my size and my paces and my running style, man, the Skyflow just did not do it for me at those relaxed paces, but when I'm picking it up, it feels good. So I like to have that softer feel when I'm just jogging along. It's easier for me to run. This thing today, it just felt so unforgiving. I think that's why I don't like the firmer shoes. I can't compress them enough. And then on the other side with the softer shoes, I'm compressing them too much. And I've talked about this before. At some paces, I can identify more with being a bigger runner. And at some paces, I feel lighter weight, that I'm not putting down a lot of force into the shoe. So this morning was a great example. I love that stiff carbon fiber plate. I love that slightly firmer tuned PIBA of the Rocket X2 when I'm pushing 540s and 530s because it can really stand up to the force I'm putting down into the shoe. Third thing that this made me think of, do shoes need to re-break in? So I have about over 50 miles on this, maybe exactly 50 miles before this run because I did do a 50-mile review. And I remember this is one of those shoes like the Nova Blast 4. There have been a few others. These shoes that take 2 to 3 miles to break in and soften up, even out there on the run. And also, I go through these periods of switching up my rotation. So if I had a good run in the Skyflow, I might bring it back to the rotation, but I'm not going to do that now because I did not enjoy it today. It is a good shoe, but just not what I need in my training right now. However, I remember last time when I was running this a lot, feeling 2 or 3 runs into it, it's breaking in, it's softening up. And I'm wondering, I don't have the answer for you today, do shoes need to be re-broken in now that this is sitting on the shelf that has been for 5-6 months? Did it lose that break-in? Is it re-stiffened, re-firmed up? And the corollary to that would be, is that a way to extend the shelf life or extend the usable life of a shoe by letting it maybe re-expand over 6 months. So this felt like it was fresh out of the box, not broken in at all. And I bet if I took it out tomorrow and then Friday, it would feel softer. So firm daily trainer, decently versatile if you can put enough force down into it. I remember liking it for faster miles, also liking it a lot for the treadmill. But for today, when I'm doing a recovery run after a decently good workout, 6 miles at marathon pace in the morning, I would have preferred something like the Clifton with a softer, more comfort-oriented feel. All right, that was our podcast ending for today's video. Perfect audio, no audio errors on this section. I hope you stuck around for this part because the beginning and middle were messed up. But hey, that's what happens when we go every day. We have mistakes sometimes, and then we get back up the plate and we swing again. I think I said get back up the plate, up at the plate. All right, I'll be back tomorrow with another video.